I'm 25 and I've lived in 4 different countries alone in the last 8 years. I want to bring you today's episode to show you how you could do the same. This podcast is all about being extremely ambitious, but also keeping your calm. Welcome back to the House of Yoga podcast presented by Yama Yoga. My name is Gavi Kanani. I am your host and founder, and I'm also an international trauma-informed yoga teacher. Today's episode, as I mentioned, is going to be about how you can build your own home wherever you are in the world, how you can build your dream life wherever you are in the world. Because a lot of people know my journey, that I've lived in different countries, and I think a lot of people want to do the same, but they don't know how this is practically possible. In today's episode, I want to break down 4 different points that I think are really important in making this move if you want to do it as well. Of course, before we start these points, I want to just highlight that I do come from a privileged position, which is 1, my British passport, which I'm extremely grateful for, and that's allowed me to move to different places with a bit more ease, and 2, having supportive parents. I think your support circle is super important, and luckily I'm blessed with really amazing parents who have been my cheerleaders since the start, and that's what's made this journey possible. So I'm just going to give you a bit of backstory. What's my journey? How did I get to these 4 different countries, and how have we got to Mumbai today? So I grew up in the UK in an Indian family, and I did grow up with Indian values and this supportive, yet also slightly strict and slightly protective, quite protective parents. But yeah, they were always giving me this space to explore every hobby that I'd want to, and they later on in my adulthood have always just supported me and come to visit me in every country and been as much of a help as they could. Honestly, they have dropped me every single time to the airport, picked me up every single time. I cannot tell you the amount of flights that I've taken over the years, and they've been there every single time, which is, I'm just so grateful and lucky to have. Besides the point, when I was 17 years old, I decided that I'm going to do something a bit different. I was actually dating a guy at the time who was taking a gap year after high school. And this wasn't really something that you grow up with in the UK. A lot of people are just accustomed to the idea that you go straight to university. After you finish school, you go straight to university and you start working. And I started to think about my life, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this traditional route. Why do we have to follow these rules that society sets for us? Why can't we look a little bit differently at life? So when I met this guy and heard that he was doing a gap year, I thought, hold on, how can I also do one? I'd written a life plan, and I said that I wanted to retire in Spain and learn Spanish, because I went to Spain around 14 or 15 years old and completely fell in love with the language and the place. And yeah, I decided I want to move there one day. But when I thought about doing a gap year, I was like, why not learn Spanish now? I had been, like many people, practicing Spanish on Duolingo and learning about how to say a rat chased an apple. It wasn't that helpful. So I thought, let me see, how can I properly learn the language? So when you start researching opportunities to live in a space, to live in a different country, there are many different possibilities. And something that came up for me was au pairing. I had already worked a lot of different jobs growing up. From 12 years old, I was already making money. It was really important for me to be making my own money to pay for the things that I wanted to do. And so I had also been babysitting a lot. I love children. I love being around them. And when I saw this opportunity to au pair, I thought, great, let's see how we can do it. So I had an interview with a couple of families. I went through an agent, and I found the family, and I just moved to Spain when I was 18 years old. It's really important to have an intention for why you want to go to a country. Why do you want to move there? For me, it was to learn Spanish and to have a different form of education than I would maybe be getting in university. So think about, what is your intention? Why would you like to move to the country that you're going to? Is it for work? Is it for fun? Totally fine. Is it for studying? Is it for your eat, pray, love adventure that you really want to have? What is your reason? And I think that really allows you to understand how you can move to the country. So my intention was to learn Spanish. How did I do that? I lived with a Spanish family, looking after their children and being surrounded by them all the time, meaning I had no escape from the language. So I really had to learn it, and I learned it fast. And that was also amazing because, yes, I had been working since 12 years old, but I was still 18. So I had different jobs, but I wasn't flowing in money at that time in my life. So I looked for opportunities that allowed me to live there in a way that was more budget friendly. And living with a Spanish family, au pairing, means they're paying for your accommodation. They're covering your food, and they're giving you a small stipend of money every month. So that kept me going and allowed me to really immerse myself in the culture and just have this Spanish experience. And I also got to meet a lot of different people. So definitely look into au pairing if you like kids. Otherwise, there's so many other ways that you can stay in a country for minimal money. For example, volunteering. There's all these websites like Workaway, which I'm sure many of you know about if you're into traveling. But yeah, if you have any questions about specific websites, you can definitely let me know. But the main point that I want to go into is, your intention. So for this example, I've told you about Spain. The other countries I've moved to were the Netherlands, Turkey, Istanbul specifically, and obviously India, where we are now. Just cover the intentions really quickly. The Netherlands was about studying. I wanted to learn. I wanted to study anthropology, and it was also because I had traveled a bit in my second gap year. I did too. And during that time, I met a lot of Dutch people. So I thought, these people are really open-minded, really friendly. Why don't I move to the Netherlands? I don't want to study in the UK. I didn't really agree with the heavy drinking culture. I know there's different ways that you can live wherever you are in the world, but I just kind of felt a little bit distant from that, and I wanted to have a different experience. So the Netherlands was a great option because at the time, England was still part of the European Union. So moving there and studying was actually accessible in terms of study fees. And not only that, the degree I couldn't fault. I found it so interesting. It's exactly what I wanted to study. The university was super interesting, super beautiful. It's one of the oldest in the world. And the town was also super beautiful. If you've been to the Netherlands and you've seen Amsterdam, just think Leiden. It's a mini Amsterdam. Really beautiful. But it's more for the locals and more for the students. So anyways, my intention there was to study. Now, before I elaborate what my intentions were for the other countries, I want to move on to my next point, which is about finding rituals that really ground you. And that is how you make a home wherever you are in the world. So have a think. What things really make you feel grounded? What makes you feel calm in your everyday? You have to translate those into the countries that you're going to live in or stay in for or travel to for a while, because these are the things that make you feel at home wherever you are in the world. For me, in Spain, it was gratitude journaling. I used to sit on my balcony every single morning once we dropped the kids to school, and I would just read my books and write about what I was grateful for. And this came in abundance. There were so many different things I was grateful for. And this ritual has stayed in my life for quite a long time because my mum introduced it to me when I was maybe 14, 15. She used to do it every single night. And yeah, you find that there is really so much to be grateful for. And it also just gives you the highlights of your days. You can write it down. And I think it's just so nice also to look back at and realize what an abundant life I've got to live. So yeah, that gratitude journaling. And the other ritual that I kept in Spain and also in the Netherlands was surrounding myself with nature. So in Spain, I used to go on hikes, and sitting on my balcony looking at the mountain was also really lovely. There was tomatoes and strawberries growing on the balcony. And in the Netherlands, there was a lake that me and my friends used to cycle to every day and see the sunset, go dance there, go swim in the lake, walk around, do yoga. This was so grounding. And I just feel like surrounding yourself with nature is one of the best things you can do for your nervous system. And it just helps you feel overall rooted. So we've spoken a bit about my Netherlands chapter and elaborated the points intention and ritual. the other point is the legal side, which is really necessary to talk about. So you need to think about, how is it practically possible for you to live in a different country? So in the Netherlands, I had to open a bank account. I had to apply for a residence permit. I had to do a lot of things that are not so fun. So this is the reality of living abroad. You need to do these things. How can you live there on a visa? Do you need a work permit? Think about how you can make it practically possible. There needs to be a lot of thorough research done, because you don't want to run into any problems later on down the line. So that's why for me, with this British passport, it's been easier, at least before. Now I don't live in Europe, so I have a different thing, which is in India, I have an OCI, because my family have an Indian background. So that's made it easy for me to live here and work here legally as well. So coming back to the Netherlands, I lived there, studied there, had a great time. I actually was in a relationship there, which also allowed me to learn a bit of Dutch and culturally assimilate in a way that I feel like, had I not been in a relationship, I may have missed that segment of learning about Dutch culture. Obviously, I don't recommend it for everyone. Just get in a relationship like that, choose the person. That really, really allowed me to understand a lot about myself. It forced me to grow up in many ways and heal myself in many ways, and also stay connected to my rituals. So yeah, that was my Netherlands chapter. I made a lot of Dutch friends as well, which was really amazing. And then I decided that in the third year of university in the Netherlands, and I think in a lot of programs around the world, you can do a study abroad section or an internship. Now, I decided, my travel addicted self decided, let's move abroad again. And the options were England, which obviously doesn't make sense, France, where you had to know fluent French, and I didn't have French in my bag at all, and Germany, which I was not really interested in, and otherwise Istanbul. Now, I didn't know a single thing about Istanbul, a single thing. Really, I didn't know anything. And I think that's what attracted me, because my whole degree was about different cultures and different people, right? And that's always been the reason why I traveled, to try and get to know different people. So when I saw Istanbul on the list, I made sure my application letter was only filled with words about why I wanted to be there. And it was to learn something completely different. Istanbul is a beautiful, rich city which combines Asia and Europe and Western and Eastern values. I had the best time there, and anyone knows me knows how much I love Istanbul. It truly has my heart, and I recommend to anyone to visit it. It's really amazing. But my intention there was to have some fun and to do something completely different, completely unknown to me. And that chapter was just beautiful. It was so much fun. I really had a lot of fun. And the rituals there that kept me grounded, again, was nature, walking in the parks, lots of uphill walks, and spending a lot of time with cats. Istanbul is a cat city. You'll see them everywhere, and I love cats, and it's just amazing to be around them. Other than that, I still kept up my journaling practices. Yes, I was writing about gratitude, but I was also processing a lot at the time. So writing was amazing. And I wouldn't say this is a ritual. I would say this is my fourth point, which is about networking. Now, I'm going to talk about it from a work perspective later on when I talk about Mumbai. But for here, what was really important was creating friends, creating family away from home, because the reality is when you're living abroad, you are far away from your family. So you need to choose your family in the setting that you're in. And one thing that's really, really helpful for all of these three countries that I've mentioned, Turkey, the Netherlands, and Spain, was Facebook. So a lot of people introduce themselves on these groups for like people living abroad in XYZ country. And it's really nice to connect with people that way. I made a lot of friends that way. I found my roommates, I found my houses that way. So definitely check out Facebook groups if you're looking to move abroad. It's a great way to make connections. And yeah, I had the best friends in Istanbul. My girls, we just had the best time together. And I also made some great friends in the Netherlands as well. These friends kept me grounded as well because, yeah, like I said, harsh reality. You miss your family sometimes. You miss your mum's food. You miss just sitting and eating with your family. These simple things that we take for granted, they become so sacred to you, it's so special to you when you don't have it every day. And so that is a harsh reality. Sometimes you're just going to miss home and it sucks. And people say, it must get easier for you now. It's been 8 years. No, it doesn't. There are times it just hits me like a brick and I'm very used to being alone, but it's upsetting. I really do miss my mum's hugs and my grandma's hugs and their food and a lot of things about being home. So that is something that you need to bear in mind. It will suck sometimes, but you have to remember why you're doing it. And that's why the first point is so important. What is your intention? Then it's the important point about your rituals. What keeps you grounded and stable every single day? And then just accepting these realities, these harsh truths, also keeps you grounded. That was my Istanbul chapter. And then finally moving on to India, which I think a lot of people know about how I moved to Mumbai, which was living in a hostel and then finding that I could work here a lot. But my why was because I also really wanted to personally connect with my roots. Yes, I'd grown up in an Indian family, but it was in the UK. And being in India is such a comforting thing for me, even though it is vastly different to England. There definitely are some cultural shocks that I am still not used to. But there is such a comfort of being here. And I think I really needed to connect with my Indian roots. And I feel that out of everywhere I've been in the world, India feels the most like home for me. It is where I feel like I belong the most. And that is such a special feeling to have. You don't realize how important that is until you have it. And I think it's always been something I was searching for, not feeling, but maybe it's Mumbai specifically. It's given me that feeling. And that is so, so sacred and special to me. And other than that, the reason I'm here is for yoga, teaching it. I get to teach it every single day to a lot of different people as often as I want, which is actually a lot. And create this podcast. And that's something that's keeping me here too. And of course, I've made amazing friends. So that's part of my network. But moving on to the work side of networking, I think that's really, really important. And if you feel like, Gavi, I don't know how to network, I also didn't know, by the way. And when you come to a place and you don't know anyone, how do you network if you don't have existing connections? You just have to put yourself out there. You have to do the hard thing and just tell people, hey, this is my name. This is what I do. I'm looking for this opportunity. Put yourself out there, whether it's online. For India, Instagram is massively helpful. Just put yourself out there. Even though it might feel cringy or awkward at first, you have to do it if you want to get to the place that you want to be at. Whether it's creating something publicly or just by having friends and having work connections, you must put yourself out there. Super important. And try to attend events. Try to go to things that you're interested in. Maybe it's dancing. You could go to dance workshops. It's a wonderful way to learn the language as well. And I think that's a really, really important point, which I feel is important for all of the countries that I've lived in and for anyone who's planning to move to a country where you don't speak the language. You must try to learn the language. Learn some words to get by. Every day you need to have this basic level of, for me, Hindi here, Spanish in Spain, Dutch in the Netherlands, and a little bit of Turkish, which is definitely, I definitely won't say I speak any Turkish, but I had some basics, some manners and some polite words to order, to speak to people. I think that's really, really important. So do be prepared to be out of your comfort zone. Do be prepared to go through these legal matters in a different language. And it is going to be uncomfortable sometimes. But if you really, really want to do the thing that you want to do, which is in a different country, and you really want to build the life you want to build wherever you are, and you want to feel that you're at home wherever you are, it does take effort. It does take making these steps to ground yourself, to remember your why, to put yourself out there, network your butt off until you feel like you don't need to. And I think you don't need to network because there are so many people that can help us in every corner of our lives. But keep your close circle close. Make sure you remember who really, really feels genuine. Because some people are for seasons, they're not for the whole duration of our life, and that is absolutely fine. But I think it's really important that you find your chosen family. So just to elaborate on all of those points, if I'll sum it up concisely, it's remember your reason, your intention of why you're going to each place. Find your rituals that keep you grounded. I didn't mention for Istanbul and India, but it's obviously been yoga. Ever since I've done my yoga teacher training, I've been teaching yoga, and that's kept me grounded, but also attending as many classes as I can and also practicing as much as I can on my own. And that always makes me feel like I'm at home wherever I am. So again, rituals. The third point was all the legal matters and the harsh realities that you need to keep in mind, which are less fun, but it is hugely part of the process. And the final point was around networking, whether it's about finding your chosen family or creating those work connections, which are really necessary in getting those opportunities that you really want to have. I think there's nothing wrong with putting yourself out there and asking for what you want, especially if you are wildly ambitious and wanting to stay deeply calm. You need to find your people. It's really, really important. So that is everything I have to say about trying to build your dream life wherever you are in the world, trying to build your own home within yourself. And I hope that this podcast has helped you to understand how you can practically make the steps to building your life wherever you want, because I truly think that everyone can do it. Whatever passport you have, yes, you might need to grind for a while. Yes, you might need to keep trying. Maybe there's going to be more rejections. I know that in India, it is really hard for your passport or visa to be accepted, and you need to have a certain amount of income. And I'm sure that's the case for many other countries. But there are always ways to do things. You just have to be willing to put the work in, to look into how you can do each thing. And I think if you have this mindset that the world is your oyster and see it through the lens of possibility, see yourself as your own best friend, you can truly do whatever you like, and you can still stay connected to yourself wherever you are in the world. So that's it for today's episode. I usually start each episode, as you may know by now, with a meditation, but I wanted to get right into it and give you guys the space to learn. And for those of you who'd like to join me now for a meditation, I'd love to invite you to sit down. And before we do that, I just want to mention that I am wearing Yama Yoga as always. This is from their new collection. It's the forest green color, and I absolutely love it. I think it fits me like a glove, and I really enjoy wearing it. But yeah, we're going to meditate together just to let everything integrate, absorb into your thoughts, into your being. So when you're ready, so you can just sit upright, roll your shoulders back, and take a deep breath in. Big sigh of release. Just take a moment to absorb. What did you learn from today's episode? What inspired you? What stood out to you? And just come back to your breath. Let your subconscious absorb everything while you focus on your breath. Feeling it coming in and coming out. Try to relax your body if there's anywhere in your body that feels tight, tense. See if you can relax it for this moment. And we'll just do a simple hand rub. So bring your hands in front, rub your hands together, Create lots of warm, good energy. And simply cup your face. Bow your head down. Take a deep breath in here. And a deep breath out. Bring your hands down. Bow down, feeling grateful that you're here today, alive and healthy. I'm wishing you all the best and all the success in making your next steps into living abroad or following your dreams. Maybe it's not abroad, but I hope that this podcast and I hope that this episode really inspires you to go after the things that you really want. I think it's possible for anyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next episode of House of Yoga. Namaste.